Welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2020, and today we're going to be taking a look at a 2020 electoral map if Joe Biden outperforms Hillary Clinton by 1%, 5%, 10%, and 15%. So if you're wondering where I got this idea from, I got it from my Discord server. There are some suggestions in there. There was a bunch of them, and this one seemed to be the most popular out of all of them, so I'm deciding to do this one just for just one video. Looking at the results, I've already laid out all of the maps. They are pretty significant, and I do want to talk about one map in particular because we're starting to see that branch out nationwide, and it's starting to mimic exactly what this map would expect us to have. So the Discord link is at the bottom left of the screen. You can go ahead and join there, but on your screen right now is the current 2016 election. So if you're wondering what map I'm using, just take a look at this yellow indicator right here. It'll say regular election, 1% election, 5%, 10%, and 15%. So this is the regular election. This is the map Donald Trump defeated Secretary Hillary Clinton in 2016. He defeated her in 3 Rust Belt states and won almost every other swing state, give or take a few. So the significance of this map is the fact that Iowa, Ohio, Georgia, and Texas all have the same rating. Texas, which was a 16-point margin of victory for Mitt Romney, went down to a 9-point margin of victory for Donald Trump. Iowa and Ohio, both Obama states from 2012, went to being 8- and 9-point victories for Ohio to Iowa, respectively, for Donald Trump in 2016. North Carolina moved to the right, Georgia moved to the left, and so did Arizona. So we saw some states move in different directions, but overall the entire country moved further to the right. States such as Oregon and New Jersey and Delaware and Connecticut were no longer considered safe Democratic states. They voted in a likely manner for the Democrats. For Minnesota, this is a state Hillary Clinton was expected to dominate Donald Trump in. She won by 1.5%. It is important to note that Minnesota is a state with the longest lasting Democratic streak in modern history. So this state didn't vote for Ronald Reagan, and it was the only one that didn't. So since 1976, only one state has voted with the Democratic Party consistently, and that is Minnesota. The closest state in this election was Michigan, and then New Hampshire, then Pennsylvania, then Wisconsin. The rest were decided by a percentage point or higher. So, speaking of that percentage point, we probably shouldn't see too many states change drastically. Moving on to the Biden outperforms by 1% map, he only flips 3 states. So even if he outperforms by literally 1%, yes, it's only 3 states, but it's enough to put him over the top. This means Joe Biden could win the presidency just by doing very minimally better than Hillary Clinton. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. These are states that Donald Trump narrowly carried, and he's going to have to carry by larger margins if he's to enter into 2021 with a mandate if he wins his re-election. If not, these states could easily go to Joe Biden and land him in the White House defeating Donald Trump. So, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, they become pretty much tilt Democratic states. Referencing the original map, Colorado goes from lean to likely for the Democrats, and we don't see too much else happening around this map. We see Florida and Georgia narrow down. Georgia used to be likely, now lean. Florida used to be lean, now tilt. Pretty much the rest of the map hasn't changed much. New Hampshire got a little bit leftward. New Jersey moved back into the safe Democratic column. But this map is important to note as well. A 1% increase in the Democratic Party's vote share in 2016 will be very important. I mean, the fact that Biden could literally just win off a 1% increase begs the question, why is this race even remotely competitive? Well, we are working with very strange times. In any election where 4 Republicans were speaking at the RNC. The wife of a candidate who ran against the current Democratic nominee just 12 years ago is speaking at the Democratic convention. It is very important to note that in normal times, this would have been a landslide for Joe Biden. But Donald Trump is not like any other Republican candidate we've seen, or Democratic candidate at that. Looking at Donald Trump's base, they are following him through literally anything. George Bush's approval rating was way lower than Donald Trump's is right now, and Donald Trump arguably is having more scandals than George Bush following, other than the fact that we were literally in a war that likely contributed to George Bush's fall in popularity. I mean, he had a high point of 90% in his presidency, but Donald Trump has secured a base, a Republican base, that never really was unified behind one candidate before. Yes, they supported Mitt Romney. Yes, they supported John McCain, but you saw how easily Republicans turned on Mitt Romney when he didn't immediately endorse Donald Trump, swaying one way or another. But they voted for him in 60 million votes in 2012. And then you realize, Donald Trump we're seeing a lot of Republicans start to spring up like him. We're not seeing any Romney Republicans that are famous for being similar to Mitt Romney. We're not seeing any George Bush Republicans similar in that aspect, or John McCain Republicans, or Bob Dole. But Donald Trump definitely has a following that, will stick with him through anything, which is exactly why this race probably isn't a landslide like you might expect in a normal election. If there were this many Republicans endorsing the opposition candidate, we could have easily seen 400 electoral votes if we were working in a very different and less polarized political climate. So this is the outperforming by 1% map, but let's talk about the outperforming by 5% map. On your screen, you can see so many states change from where they were in 2016. And the reason why I think this map is the most significant and a very good indicator of what could happen in the general election is the fact that Joe Biden is outperforming Hillary Clinton, can you guess by the margin, 5% nationwide. So if Joe Biden outperforms Hillary's numbers by 5% now, and the map that says if he outperforms by 5% gives him the same number of electoral votes that I give him through Election Day, that FiveThirtyEight gives him through Election Day, that almost all the political pundits agree that all of these states will go to Joe Biden, that 334 number has been consistent on my predictions just because, number one, the American electorate is boring. They don't like to vote for other candidates. And usually when we see races narrow down or at least go to the Democratic Party, it's usually the same races that return or are swing states. So looking at North Carolina, looking at Arizona, looking at Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, these are all states that voted for Donald Trump, and Florida, that voted for Donald Trump, that have flipped over into the Democratic side following a 5% increase. And Biden's up 8%, Hillary Clinton was up 3%. You can see where Biden's leading. He's leading in the Rust Belt. He's leading in North Carolina. He's leading in Florida. He's leading in Arizona. He's close in Georgia. He's close in Ohio. He's close in Iowa. He's close in Texas, actually leading in Ohio. So the fact that Biden is expected to lose Texas by a lean margin at this point, or a tilt margin, or lose Iowa and Ohio by a lean margin, or Georgia by a tilt margin or lean margin is pretty significant. I mean, it's almost matching exactly what we expect to see on the electoral map, because you can pretty much predict future elections by talking about if a candidate outperforms the previous party's vote share. While I don't necessarily agree with the Rust Belt being only lean, it's still with the correct winner. Biden would win the election if he outperformed Hillary Clinton by 5%. And he's doing that right now. So as we get closer and closer to Election Day, that 8-point lead is very daunting for President Trump, because Hillary Clinton was only up by 3% on Election Day, and even a 1% increase loses the election for Donald Trump. So the 5% increase, abysmal for Donald Trump. And don't even get me started on the 10% increase in Biden's vote share respective to Hillary Clinton's. You can see the Democrats hit 412 electoral votes. Why is this so significant? No Democrat has hit 400 electoral votes since LBJ. Since the 1960s, the Democrats have not hit over 400 electoral votes. The Republican Party did it twice. So we're looking at, actually more than twice. You look at the electoral map, and you talk about the states that flipped. I mean, the Rust Belt, obviously. North Carolina, Florida, Arizona, obviously. But now you see Texas and Iowa and Ohio and Georgia added into the fray. I think this really doubles down on my point. Iowa went further to the right than Texas in 2016. 2012, Texas went to Romney by 16%. Iowa was called immediately at poll closings for Barack Obama. So keep that in mind. I mean, Obama's victories in both Iowa and Ohio made it very difficult for us to see how, in 2016, how Donald Trump could dominate in these two states, but he did it. And these states probably won't vote with the election winner in the 2020 election, as you can see based off the 5% map. But you see Ohio, Iowa flipped, Georgia flipped, Texas flipped, and you look at the states that are narrowing down. Nebraska's 1st district, Indiana, Vice President Mike Pence's home state, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alaska, and South Carolina added to the lean column for the GOP. So this 10% outperformance of Hillary Clinton's numbers is not too realistic. We're not going to see Biden up 13% nationwide, at least on Election Day, or at least hopefully not for the Trump campaign. And, if that was to happen, we probably would see Biden win by more than this margin. He probably would have more than 412 electoral votes. And that's largely due to the fact that if we're looking at these numbers, we'd definitely be seeing increased black turnout. We saw decreased black turnout from 2012 to 2016. It was a 7-point deficit. That was, very bad for Hillary Clinton. She narrowly lost, and she really needed that 7% to turn out, and they didn't. And if they turn out with those numbers in 2020, we could definitely see Joe Biden win by or come closer in states such as Mississippi and South Carolina. And if he's outperforming Hillary by 10%, he could possibly edge out a victory there. I mean, we're talking about a scenario where he's up 13% nationwide. That'd be very significant. But Even in this map, he doesn't flip South Carolina. He doesn't flip Alaska, but he does in the map we're about to go to. And Maine's 2nd District is also significant. Maine's 2nd District voted for Obama and has never voted for a Republican candidate. So the fact that it's still in the Trump column after we give Biden 10% more of Hillary Clinton's vote share than what she received 4 years ago, and Maine's 2nd District is still a Republican district, shows you just how much that district swung from Joe Biden and Barack Obama to Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, against Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, might I say. Now we're looking at the 15% map, and you can see the nation gets bluer. Almost all of the states Hillary Clinton carried in 2016 become safe, with the exception of New Hampshire. And that margin, I don't know why I did this. I wrote out all of the numbers thinking you guys would actually care about the individual ones. I'm going to put them in the comment section. I'm going to pin it at the top so you can see that yourself. I don't know if it'll cut me out because of the character limit, but New Hampshire almost was there. It was 14.37% for Joe Biden if it was an outperformance by 15%. Actually, no, that should not be right. It should be a safe state because if Hillary Clinton carried it, and it was a 0.37 margin, okay, that's good. At least I know I did that one wrong. Let me go ahead and make that safe. Not for the Republicans, though. Okay, I can't believe I didn't catch that. But now, I guess every single Hillary Clinton state from 2016 is considered safe for the Democrats. So looking at the surrounding swing states, where you can see that Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania become likely states, they're at 14.77, 14.28. So they're right about that point where they're almost safe. Florida goes to a 13.8% margin for Joe Biden. You see North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, Georgia, Texas, Arizona. I said that really fast because they're all together. Nebraska 2nd District are now all likely. There are no lean Democratic states, but there's a lean Democratic district in Maine. Maine 2nd District, 15% outperform, still lean. Obama won it by a larger than a lean margin in 2008 and 2012. So keep that in mind. Whatever, moving past that point, the Republican Party, you see them dwindling in some of these states. I mean, obviously, if they're down, 18% on the national average, they're probably not going to be doing too well in some of these solid states. Mississippi, Louisiana, Utah, Indiana, and Missouri all become lean. South Dakota, Montana, Kansas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama all become likely. And it is important to know that some of these states are still safe, despite a 15% increase in the Democratic Party's vote share. Wyoming, Idaho, North Dakota, which was a 9-point margin of victory for McCain in 2008. Oklahoma remains safe. West Virginia, which used to be a Democratic stronghold prior to the 2000 election, but still on Senate and governor and House level prior to 2010. Looking at Alaska and South Carolina, they now flipped to the Democratic column. So you can see 15 points, 10 points, 5 points, 1 point. But no matter how much the increase is, as long as it's above 0.77% for the Democrats, they win the election, which is exactly why Donald Trump has such an uphill climb this election season. I mean, he could literally win, like you see on this map, every single swing state and still lose. Win Arizona, win Texas, win Iowa, win Ohio, win North Carolina, win Georgia, win Florida, win Maine 2nd District, Nebraska 2nd District, and even if I give New Hampshire to Trump, he still loses the election. Biden only needs to minimally improve off Hillary Clinton's numbers, and that's not going to be too difficult. 1%, 5%, 10%, 15%, and this is where he is right now. He's not at the 1%. He's not at the 10%, though. He's at the 5%, which almost mimics what we see on election predictions because guess what? Data doesn't typically lie. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. If you want to see where this video suggestions tab is, it's in my Discord server. If you're already in it, just go ahead and look under the general text channels. But if you want to join the Discord server, the link is at the bottom left of the screen. There's also an Instagram and a Twitter. I don't know why I glitched right there. And then on the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my 2020 election predictions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.